don't want to win you away from anything.
Chris, I've been ready for a long, long time.
And he's gone forever? You're sure?
I almost got married 2 years ago.
Why didn't you?
You started to write?
You felt something that far back?
And every day since.
And why didn't you let me know?
Well, then you never wrote it. And when you did, what did you say? You sure can be ambiguous, you know?
Give me a kiss, man. Give me... God, I kissed you. I kissed Annie. How long? How long I've been waiting to kiss you?
And I'll never forgive you. All these years, all I've done is sit and wonder if I was crazy for thinking of you.
Annie, we're gonna live now. I'm gonna make you so happy.
Not like that, you're not.
I kissed you.
Kiss me like Larry's brother. Kiss me like you, Chris. What is it?
Let's drive someplace. I want to be alone with you.
No. What is it? Is it your mother?
No, nothing like that.
Then what? Even in your letters, there was something... a shame.
Yes, I suppose I have been, but it's going for me.
You have to tell me.
I don't know how to start.
It wouldn't work like this.
It's mixed up with so many other things. You remember overseas, I was in command of a company?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I lost them.
How many?
Just about all.
Oh, gee.
Takes me time to toss that off, you know. Because they weren't just men. First, this one time it had been raining for several days, and this kid came to me. Gave me his last pair of dry socks. Put them in my pocket. Well, it's just a little thing, but those are the type of guys I had. They didn't die. They killed themselves for each other. I mean that exactly. If they'd have been a little more selfish, they would have been here today. And I got an idea watching them go down. Everything was being destroyed, see, but to me it was like something was being made. A kind of responsibility, man for man, you understand? To show that and to bring that on the earth again, like some kind of monument. And everyone would feel it there standing behind him. And then make a difference to it. And I came home and it was incredible. There was no meaning in it here. The whole thing to them seemed to be a bus accident. I went back to work with Dad in that rat race again. I felt what you said, ashamed somehow. It seemed to make suckers out of a lot of guys. Felt wrong to be alive. To open the bank book, to drive the new car, to see the new refrigerator. I mean, you can take those things out of a war, but when you drive that car, you gotta know that it came out of the love that a man can have for another man. And you've gotta be better because of it. Otherwise, what you have is really loot. And there's blood on it. And I didn't want to take any of it. And I guess that includes you.
Do you still feel that way?
I want you now, Annie.
Because you mustn't feel that way any longer. Do you understand? Because you have a right to everything that you have. Me too. Money, Chris, there's nothing wrong in your money. Your father put hundreds of things in the air. You should be proud. A man should be paid for that.
Annie, I'm going to make a fortune for you.
Hello?
What will I do?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Ann, you're... What is this, Labor Day?
You shouldn't come bursting in like that.
Well, nobody told me it was Labor Day. Where's the hot dog?
All right, let's set it.
Well, as long as I know it's Labor Day, I'll wear a bell around my neck.
Yeah, George Bernard Shaw is an elephant.
George. Hey, you kissed it out of my head. Your brother's on the phone.
My brother?
Yeah, George, long distance.
And what does he want?
I don't know. Kate's talking to him. You better hurry up. She'll cost him $5.
Maybe we oughtn't tell your mother yet. I'm not very good at an argument.
We'll wait till tonight, after dinner. Now, don't get tense. Just leave everything to me.
What are you telling her?
Go ahead, Annie. We're getting married, Dad.
I'm glad, Chris. I'm just, George is calling from Columbus.
Columbus?
Did Annie mention he was going to see his father today?
No, I don't think she knew anything about it.
Chris, you think you know her pretty good.
What kind of a question is that?
I'm just wondering. All these years, George don't go to see his father. Suddenly he goes, and she comes here.
So, what about it?
It's crazy, but it comes to mind. She don't hold nothing against me, does she?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just talking. His last day in court, the man blamed it all on me. Now, this is his daughter. I mean, if she was sent here to find something out.
Why? What is there to find out?
I'm so excited, George. What happened?
I mean, they want to open up the case again for nuisance value to hurt us.
What did you
Dad, how
say?
could you think that of her?
It couldn't be, huh? You know.
Dad, you amaze me.
All right, forget it. I want a clean start for you, Chris. I'm going to put a new sign over the plant. Christopher Keller Incorporated.
J.O. Keller's good enough.
Now we'll talk about it. I'm going to build you a house, stone, the driveway coming up from the road. I want you to spread out, Chris. I want you to use what I made for you. I mean with joy, Chris, without shame. Joy.
I will, Dad.
Say it to me.
Why?
Sometimes I think you're ashamed of the money.
No, don't feel that.
Because that's good money. There's nothing wrong with that money.
Dad, you don't need to tell me these things.
I'll get to work on Mother tonight. We'll get her so drunk, we'll all get married. I've never seen. Cedos, champagne.
Okay.
You get excited, you don't control yourself. Well, what did he tell you, for God's sake? All right, come then. Yes, they're all here. Nobody's running away from you. And try to get a hold of yourself, will you? All right. All right. Goodbye.
Something happened?
He's coming here.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. I told him that would be all right.
Sure, fine. Father took sick?
No, George didn't say he was sick. I don't know, something stupid, I bet. You know my brother. Say, let's go for a drive.
Sure. Give me the keys, Dad.
Drive to the park. It's beautiful now.
All right. We'll be right back.
Take your time. What does George want?
He's been in Columbus since this morning with Steve. Got to see Annie right away, he said.
What for?
I don't know. George is a lawyer now, Joe. He's a lawyer. All those years, he never sent his father a postcard. Even after the war, not a postcard.
So what?
So all of a sudden, he takes an airplane to New York to see him? An airplane.
Well, so?
Why?
I don't read minds. Do you?
Why, Joe? What does Steve suddenly have to say that's so important? He takes an airplane to see him.
What do I care what Steve's got to tell him?
You're sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
The boy is coming now, Joe. You better be smart.
Once and for all, did you hear what I said? I said I'm sure.
All right. Just be smart. Be smart. Did you have to put on your good pants to do that? You notice it's a lot lighter with that thing on?
Why aren't you dressing?
It's suffocating upstairs. I made a grape drink for Georgie. He always loved grape. Come and have some.
Well, come on, get dressed. And what's Dad sleeping so much for?
He's worried. And when he's worried, he sleeps. We're dumb, Chris. Your father and I, we're stupid people. We don't know anything. You You've got to protect us.
You're silly. What's there to be afraid of?
To his last day in court, Steve never gave up the idea that Dad made him do it. If they open that case again, I won't live through it.
George is just a damn fool, Mother. How can you take him seriously?
That whole family hates us, maybe even Amy.
Now, Mother, you know that she doesn't
You
hate
think just because you like everybody, they like you.
All right, stop working yourself up.
When George goes home, tell him to take her with him.
Don't worry about Annie.
Steve is her father too.
Are you going to cut it out? Now, come.
You don't realize how people can hate Chris. They can hate so much, they'll tear the world to pieces.
Look, she's dressed already. I've just got to put on a shirt.
Are you feeling any better, Kate?
What's the difference, dear? You know, with some people, the sicker they get, the longer they live.
You look nice.
I'm telling her tonight.
Absolutely. Don't worry about it.
I wish we could tell her now. You know how I hate scheming when my stomach gets home.
It's not scheming. We'll just get her in a better mood. That's all.
Were you going to sleep all day?
Only one who's relaxed is your father. He's fast asleep.
Well, I'm relaxed.
Are you?
Look. Let me know when George comes.
Johnny, come get your supper!
It's my husband.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. It's all right. I'm a little silly about the dark.
It is getting dark, isn't it?
Are you looking for your husband?
As usual. Spend so much time here, they'll be charging him rent.
Well, no one was dressed yet, so he went to the depot to pick up my brother.
Oh, your brother's in.
Yeah, they'll be in any minute. Will you have a cold drink?
I will, thanks. My husband. Too hot to drive you to the beach? Men are like little boys. For the neighbors, they'll always cut the grass.
People like doing things for the colors. It's been that way since I can remember.
It's amazing. I guess your brother's coming to give you away, huh?
I don't know. I suppose.
You must be all nerved up.
It's always a problem getting yourself married, isn't it?
Well, that depends on your shape, of course. I don't see why you should have had a problem.
Chances.
I'll bet. It's romantic. Well, it's unusual to me marrying the brother of your sweetheart.
I don't know. I guess it's just that whenever I've wanted someone to tell me the truth, I've always thought of Chris. When he tells you something, you have a way of knowing it's so. He relaxes me.
And he's got money. That's important, you know.
It wouldn't matter to me.
Well, you'd be surprised. I married an intern on my salary, and that was bad because as soon as a woman supports a man, he owes her something. You can never owe somebody without resenting them. That's true, you know.
Underneath, I think the doctor is very devoted.
Oh, certainly. But it's bad when a man always sees the bars in front of him. Jim thinks he's in jail all the time.
Oh?
That's why I've been meaning to ask you a small favor, Anne. Something very important to me.
Certainly. If I can do it.
You can. When you take up housekeeping, try to find some place away from here.
Are you fooling?
No, I'm very serious. My husband's unhappy with Chris around.
How is that?
Well, Jim's a successful doctor, but he's got an idea he'd like to go into research, discover things, you see.
Isn't that good?
Research pays $25 a week minus laundering the hair shirt. You've got to give up your life to go into it.
How does Chris?
Chris makes people want to be better than it's possible to be. He does that to people.
Is that bad?
My husband has a family, dear. Every time he has a session with Chris, he feels as though he's compromising by not giving up everything to go into research. As though Chris or anybody else isn't compromising. It happens with Jim every couple of years. He meets a man and makes a statue out of him. Maybe he's right.
I don't mean that Chris is a statue.
Dear, you know he's not right. I don't agree with you.
Chris is.
Let's face it, darling. Chris is working for his father, isn't he? He's taking money out of that business every week in the year.
What of it?
You asked me what of it?
I certainly do. Why has aspirations like that? I'm surprised at you.
But you're surprised at me.
You never took 5 cents out of that pen if there was anything wrong in it.
You know that.
I know it. I resent everything you said.
Well, you know what I resent, dear?
Please, I don't want to argue.
I resent living next door to the Holy family. Makes me look like a bum, you understand?
There's nothing I can do about that.
Who is he to ruin a man's life anyway? Everybody knows Joe pulled a fast one to get out of prison. That's not true.
Then why don't you go out and talk to people? Huh? Go on, talk to them. There's not a
block that doesn't know the truth. That's a lie. People come here all the time for cards and what? They give him credit for being smart. I do too. I've got nothing against Joe. But if Chris wants people to put on the hair shirt, let him take off his broadcloth. He's driving my husband crazy with that phony idealism of his, and I'm at the end of my rope on it. Oh, hello, darling. How's Mother?
Thought George came.
No, it's just us.
Susie, do me a favor, eh? Go up to Mother, see if you can calm her. She's all worked up.
She still doesn't know about you two.
Well, she suspects it, I guess. You know my mother.
Oh, yeah, she's a psychic.
Maybe there's something in the medicine chest?
I'll give her one of everything. Don't worry about Kate. Couple of drinks, dance her around a little bit. She'll love Anne. Because you are a female version of him. Well, don't be alarmed. I said version.
Interesting woman, isn't she?
Yeah, she's very interesting.
She's a great nurse, you know. Back when we were
Are you
kids.
still doing that?
Doing what?
Every time you meet someone, you find a distinction for them. How do you know that she's a great nurse?
What's the matter, Anne?
The woman hates you. She despises you.
Hey, what happened here? What happened?
She says that they think Joe is guilty.
Well, what difference does it make what they think?
It doesn't matter what they think. The problem is you took the trouble of denying it.
Well, I just didn't want you to feel like there was anything wrong in you coming here, that's all. I know a lot of people think my father was guilty, and I assume there was some suspicion in your mind.
I never once said I suspected him.
Well, nobody says it.
Chris, I know how much you love your father, but this could
Do you
never
think I
work.
could forgive him if he'd done that
I'm
thing?
not here out of the blue sky, Chris. I turned my back on my father if there is anything wrong
I know
with
that,
him.
Anne.
George is coming from Dad, and I don't think it's with a blessing.
George is welcome here. You've got nothing to fear from George.
Just tell me that. Just tell me that.
The man is innocent, Anne. Remember, he was falsely accused once and it put him through hell. How would you behave if you were faced with the same thing? Annie, believe me, there's nothing wrong for you here, kid. Believe me.
All right, Chris. All right.
Every time I come out here, it looks like playland.
I thought you were going to shave.
In a minute. Don't see nothing. I just woke up.
Can you look shaved?
Oh, no. Gonna be extra special tonight. Big night tonight, Annie. So how's it feel to be a married woman?
I wouldn't know yet.
What's the matter? You slipping?
The Great Rouet.
What is that, Rouen?
It's French.
Don't talk dirty.
You ever meet a bigger ignoramus?
Somebody's got to make a living.
That's telling him.
I don't know. Everybody's getting so damn educated in this country there'll be nobody left to take out the garbage. It's getting so the only dumb ones left are the bosses.
You're not so dumb, Joe.
I know. I go into our plant, for instance. I got so many lieutenants, majors, and colonels that I'm afraid to ask somebody to sweep the floor. I gotta be careful or I'll insult somebody. No kidding. It's a tragedy. You stand on the street today and spit, you're gonna hit a college man.
Well, don't spit.
I mean, just say it's coming to a pass. Now, Amy, I've been thinking. Your brother George, and well, I've been thinking about your brother George, and when he comes, I'd like you to brooch something to him for me.
Brooch.
What's the matter with brooch?
It's not English.
When I was in night school, it was brooch.
In day school, it's brooch.
Surround me, will you? Seriously, Anne, you say he's not well. George, and well, I've been thinking. Why should he knock himself out with all that cutthroat competition in New York when I got so many friends here? I'm very friendly with some big lawyers in town. I can set George up.
It's awfully nice of you, Joe.
No, it ain't nice to me. I want you to understand me. I'm thinking of Chris. See, this is what I need. When you get older, you want to feel that you accomplished something. My only accomplishment is my son. I ain't brainy, it's all I accomplished. Now, a year, 18 months from now, your father, he will be a free man. Who will he come to? You, his baby. He'll come old man into your house.
That couldn't matter now, Joe.
I don't want that hate to come between us.
All I can tell you is that could never happen.
Look, you're in love now, but I'm older than you, and I know. A daughter is a daughter, and a father is a father, and it can happen. So I'd like you and George to go to him in prison and tell him, Dad, Joe wants to bring you back into the business when you get out.
You'd have him as a partner?
No partner, a good job. I want him to know While he's sitting there, I want him to know that when he gets out, he's got a place waiting for him. It'll take his bitterness away. To know you got a place that sweetens you.
Joe, you owe him nothing.
Well, I'm a good kick in the teeth, but he's your
Well,
father.
then kick him in the teeth. I don't want him in the plant, and that's that. You understand? Besides, don't talk like that. People misunderstand you.
I don't understand why she has to crucify the man.
Well, it's her father. She
No.
Why? What's it to
The
you?
father is a father! I better shave. I didn't mean to yell, Annie.
It's all right, Joe. We'll forget about it.
Right. She's likable.
Shave, will you?
Right again.
Hi, everybody. I told Kate I would do her hair for tonight. Has she combed it yet?
Oh, here's a smile. Hey, Lydia.
Sure, why not?
Come on up and comb my Katie's hair. She's got a big night tonight. Make her beautiful.
I will.
Hey, that could be a song. Come on up and comb my Katie's hair. Come on up, 'cause she's my lady fair. Huh? How's that for 1 year at night school? Come on up, 'cause she's my lady fair.
What's the matter? Where is he?
Where's your mother?
He's upstairs dressing.
What happened? Where's George?
I asked him to wait in the car. Listen to me. Now, can you take some advice? Don't bring him in here.
Why not?
Kate is in bad shape. You can't explode this in front of her.
Explode what?
You know why he's here. Don't try to kid it away. There's blood in his eye. Drive him somewhere and talk to him alone.
Don't be such an old lady.
He's come to take her home. What does that mean? You know what that means. Fight it out with him someplace else.
I'll drive him somewhere.
No.
Will you stop being an idiot?
Nobody's afraid of him here. Now cut that out. All the way to do George? What are you doing sitting out there for?
Doctor said your mother isn't well.
Well, she'd still want to see you, wouldn't she? We've been waiting all afternoon.
George, what are you doing? The shirt is filthy. Didn't you bring another one?
How about the beach, Jim?
It's too hot to drive.
How do you get to the station then, Zeppelin?
This is Mrs. Bayless, George. George, Mrs. Bayless?
How do you do?
You're the people who bought our house, aren't you?
That's right. Come see what we did with it before you leave.
I liked it the way it was.
Well, he's Frank.
Hey, see you later.
Thanks for driving them. Well, how about some grape juice, George? Mother made it especially for you.
Good old Kate remembers my grape juice.
Well, you drank enough of it in this house. How you been, George? Sit down.
Takes a minute. Seems impossible.
What?
I'm back here.
Say, you've gotten a little nervous, haven't you?
Yeah, toward the end of the day. What are you, a big executive now?
No, just kind of medium. How's law?
I don't know. When I was studying in the hospital, it seemed sensible, but outside there doesn't seem to be much of a law. The trees got picked, didn't they? And what's that?
Oh, blew down last night. We got it there for Larry, you know.
Why, afraid you'll forget him?
What kind of remark is that?
When did you start wearing a hat?
Today. From now on, I decided to look like a lawyer anyway. Don't you recognize it?
No. Why?
It's your father's. He asked me to wear it.
How is
He got smaller.
he? Small?
Yeah, a little. He's a little man now. That's what happens to suckers, you know. Good thing I went to him in time. Another year, there'd be nothing left but his smell.
What's the matter, George? What's the trouble?
The trouble. The trouble is when you make suckers out of people once, you shouldn't try and do it twice.
What's that mean?
You're not married yet, are you?
George, why don't you just sit down?
Are you married yet?
No, I'm not married yet.
Well, you're not going to marry him.
Then why am I not going to marry?
Because his father destroyed your family.
Now look,
Cut it
George.
short, Chris. Tell her to come home with me. Let's not argue. You know what I've got to say.
George, you don't want to be the voice of God, now, do
I'm
you?
not trying to be the voice.
That's been your trouble your whole life. You always dive into things. What kind of a statement is that to make? You're a big boy now.
I'm a big boy now.
Don't come bullying in here. If you've got something to say, be civilized about
Don't
it.
civilize me.
Are you ready to talk like a grown man, or aren't you?
George, just come sit down. No. Don't be angry. Now, what happened? When I left you kissed me, now what?
My whole life turned upside down since then. I couldn't go back to work when you left. I wanted to go to Dad and tell him you were going to be married. It seemed impossible not to tell him. I didn't see you once since I got home from the war. You don't know what happened to that man. You don't know what was done.
I don't. everything.
You can't know. You wouldn't be here. My dad went into work that day. The night foreman came to him with the cylinder heads. They were coming out of the process with defects. There was something wrong with the process, and so Dad went directly to the phone, and he called here, and he told Joe to come down right away. But the morning passed, and there was no sign of Joe. So he calls again, and by this time, there were over 100 defectives in the army who were screaming at him for stuff, but Dad had nothing to ship. So Joe told him over the phone to weld and cover up the cracks in any way he could and ship them out.
Are you through now?
I'm not through now! Dad was afraid. Dad wanted Joe there if he was going to do it, but Joe can't come down. He's sick. Sick! Suddenly! He gets the flu, suddenly! But he promised to take responsibility. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't have responsibility over the phone. In court, you can always deny a phone call, and that's exactly what he did. They knew he was a liar the first time, and in the appeal, they believed that rotten lie. And now Joe's a big shot, and your father's a patsy. So what are you going to do, Ann? Eat his food, sleep in his bed? Answer me. What are you going to do?
What are you gonna do, George?
Oh, he's too smart for me. I can't prove a phone call.
Then how dare you come in here with that rot?
George, the court, the whole time.
The court didn't know him, Annie, but you know him. You know in your heart that Joe didn't.
Lower your voice or I'll throw you out of here.
She knows. She knows.
Get him out of here, Ann. Get him out of here.
George, he told that whole thing.
The court didn't know your father, Annie.
You do, and you know how quickly he can lie.
I'll ask you something. And look me in the eye when you answer me.
I'll look you in the eye.
You know your father.
I know him well.
And he's the kind of boss to let 121 cylinder heads be repaired and shipped out without even knowing about it.
He's that kind of boss.
And he's the same Joe Keller that didn't leave his shop until he first walked around to see if all the lights were out.
the same Joe.
And he's the same man who knew how many minutes a day his workers would spend on the toilet.
the same man.
And my father, that frightened mouse who wouldn't buy a shirt without someone along, that man would dare to do such a thing on his own.
On his own, and because he's a frightened mouse, here's another thing he'd do. He would throw the blame on somebody else because he's not man enough to take it himself. He tried it in court, but it didn't work. But with a fool like you, it works!
Chris, you're a liar to yourself.
Don't talk like that.
Tell me, George, what happened? The court record was good enough for you all these years. Why isn't it good now? Huh? Why'd you believe it for all these years?
Because you believed it. That's the truth, Chris. I believed everything because you did. But today I heard it from his mouth. And from his mouth, it was altogether different from the record. Anyone who knows him and knows your father will believe it from his mouth. Now, your father took everything that we have. I can't beat that. But she's one item he's not going to grab. Now, get your things, Annie. Everything that they have is covered in blood. You're not the kind of girl who can live with that. Now, get your things.
And you're not going to believe that, are you?
You don't believe it, do you, Chris?
How can he tell you it's his father? None of these things ever crossed your mind?
Yes, they crossed my mind. Anything can cross your mind.
He knows. He knows,
The
Annie.
voice of God.
So, why isn't your name on the business? Explain that to her.
What the hell is
Annie,
that got?
why isn't his name on the business?
Even when I don't own it.
Who are you kidding? Who gets it when he dies? You know the both of them. Isn't that the first thing that they do, the way that they love each other? J.O. Keller and son. No, I'll settle. Do you want me to settle? Or are you afraid to?
What do you mean?
Let me go over and talk to your father. In 10 minutes, I'll have the answer. Or are you afraid of the answer?
Oh, I'm not afraid of the answer. I know the answer. But my mother isn't well, and I don't want to start a fight here.
Let me go to him!
You're not going to start a fight here now!
Annie, what more do you want?
Someone is coming.
You're not going to start anything now!
George, go soon. I'll call a cab.
And you're
go.
coming with me.
And don't say anything about marriage.
You're
George,
coming
down.
with me.
George, don't. Do you understand? Do not start anything now. Shh.
Georgie.
Okay.
They made an old man out of you. Look, you're great.
I know, it's been a really long time.
I told you when you went away, don't try for medals.
I didn't try. It made it very easy for me.
Oh, go on, you're all alike. Why'd you say he looks fine? He looks like a ghost.
Feel all right?
Well, I'm sick to look at you. What's wrong with your mother? Why don't she feed you?
He just hasn't any appetite.
Well, if he ate at my house, he'd have an appetite. I'd pity your husband. Here, sit down. I'll make you shake.
I'm really not hungry.
Honest to God, it breaks my heart to see what happened to all the children. How we worked and planned for you, and you end up no better than us.
Yeah, they changed it all. You know that, Kate?
None of it's changed. We all love you, Georgie. Joe was just talking about the day you were born and how the water got shut off. People were carrying basins from a block away. Stranger would have thought the whole neighborhood was on fire. Why didn't you give him some juice?
I offered it to him.
You offered it to him. Give it to him. Now you're going to sit here and drink this and look like something.
I'm too hungry already.
She could turn Mahatma Gandhi into a heavyweight.
Listen to hell of the restaurant. I got a ham in the icebox, some frozen strawberries, avocados.
Swell, I'll help.
The train leaves at 8:30 a.m.
You're leaving.
She's not mother.
George, just got here. Give yourself a chance to get acquainted again.
Sure, you hardly even know us anymore.
Well, if they can't stay, don't
It's only a question of George,
Now,
Mother.
wait a minute, Chris.
Look, if you want to go home, I'll drive you to the station myself. But if you're staying, no arguments while you're here.
Why should he have an argument? Georgie and us have no argument, do we, Georgie? How could we? We all got hit by the same lightning. Did you see what happened to Larry's train? While I was dreaming, the wind came through and knocked...
Georgie! Georgie!
Hello, Laffy. What'd you do, Grell?
I'm a big girl now.
Look what she can do to a hat.
Did you make that?
In 10 minutes.
I only rearranged it.
You still make your own clothes?
Ain't she classy? All she needs now is a Russian wolfhound.
Feels like somebody's sitting on my head.
It's beautiful, Kate.
She's a genius. You should have married her. This one can feed you.
I heard you had a baby.
You don't hear too good? She has 3 babies.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 1, 2, 3. Put away a long time, Georgie.
Beginning to realize.
The problem with you kids is you think too much.
Well, we think too.
Yes, but not all the time.
So they never came for Frank, eh?
No, he was always a year ahead of the draft.
It's amazing. When they were calling boys 27, Frank was just 28. When they were calling him 28, he was 29. That's when he took up astrology. It's all when you were born, just goes to show.
What's it go to show?
Don't be so intelligent. Some superstitions are very nice. Did you finish Larry's horoscope?
I'm just going in. I'll ask her.
Would you like to see my babies, Georgie?
I don't think so. They...
Good luck.
And to you, too. And Frank. And you and Frank.
Okay.
She got pretty, huh?
Very pretty.
She's beautiful, you damn fool.
She made it seem so nice around here.
Look what happened to you because you wouldn't listen to me. I told you to marry that girl and stay out of the war.
She used to laugh too much.
And you didn't laugh enough. While you were getting mad about fascism, Frank was getting her into bed.
You won the war, Frank.
All the battles.
I told you, as soon as that draft started, you loved that girl.
And truer love hath no man.
I'm smarter than any of you.
She's wonderful.
And now you're going to listen to me, George. You had big principles, the 3 of you, Eagle Scouts. Now I've got a tree. And this one, when the weather's bad, can't stand on his 2 feet. And that big dope next door never does anything but read Andy Gump and has 3 kids and a house paid off. Now you're going to stop being a philosopher and take care of yourself. Like Joe said, you move back here, he'll get you set, and I find you a girl that'll put a smile on your face.
Joe? Joe wants me in here?
He asked me to tell you, and I think it's a good idea.
Certainly. Why must we make believe you hate us, George? You don't hate us. I know you. You can't fool me. I diapered you. Do you remember Mr. Marcy's daughter?
She's got you hooked already.
You look her over, George. You'll see she's the most beautiful.
She's got warts, George.
She hasn't got any warts. So the girl has a beauty mark on her chin.
Well, and 2 on her nose.
She's the retired police inspector's daughter. You remember George.
Sergeant George.
He's a very kind man.
He looks like a gorilla.
Well, he never shot anybody.
Well, look who's here. Georgie, good to see you.
How are you, Joe?
So, getting old. You coming to dinner with us?
No, I've got to get back to New York.
I'll call you a cab ready.
That's too bad. Sit down, George. He looks fine.
He looks terrible.
That's what I said. You look terrible, George. How are the pants? And she whips into the belt.
So I saw your factory from the station. It looks like General Motors.
I wish it was General Motors, but it ain't. Sit down, George. Sit down. So you finally went to see your father today, I mean.
Yes, this morning. So what kind of stuff you make now?
Oh, a little of everything. Pressure cookers, an assembly line for washing machines. Got a nice flexible plant now. How'd you find Dad? Feel all right?
He's not well, Joe.
That's hard again, is it?
It's everything. It's his soul.
Huh.
How about seeing what they do with your house, George?
Leave him be.
I'd like to talk to him, Chris.
Sure. He just got here. That's the way they do, George. A little man makes a mistake and they hang him by the thumbs, and the big ones become ambassadors. I wish you would have told me you were going to see your father today.
I didn't know you were interested.
In a way, I am. As far as I'm concerned, anytime he wants, he's got a place right here with me. I would like him to know that.
He hates your guts, Joe. Don't you know that?
I imagine so, but that can change too.
Steve was never like that.
He's like that now. I'd like to take every man who made money in the war and put him up against the wall.
We need a lot of bullets.
And you better not get any.
That's a sad thing to hear.
Why? Would you expect him to think of you?
Sad to hear he hasn't changed. As long as I knew him, 25 years, the man never knew how to take the blame, but you know that.
Well, I also
But
remember
you do know it. Because the way you come in here, you act like you don't remember it. Like in 1937 when we had that shop on Flood Street. And he damn near blew us all up with that heater he left burning for 2 days without water. He wouldn't admit that was his fault either. I had a fire mechanic just to save face. You remember that.
Well, yes, but I also
No, I'm
remember
just mentioning it, George. Because it's just another one of a lot of things. Like when he gave Frank that money to invest in oil stock.
Yes, I remember
But
that,
it's
but I...
good to remember those things. The way he cursed Frank when the stock went down. Was that Frank's fault? To listen to him, Frank was a swindler, and all the man did was give him a bad tip.
I remember those
Then
things.
remember them. Remember them. There are some men in this world who'd rather see everybody hung before they take the blame. You understand me, George?
Cab's on its way. Would you like to wash?
Why must you go? Make the midnight, George.
Sure, we'll have dinner with us.
Well, how about it? Why not? We're eating at the lake. It could be a swell time.
All right.
Now that's